Well, I thought there was another verse to that song, but hello, everyone. It's great starting the morning with a joy song, and as Bill and Lillian were talking about before we started, those joy songs really do lift our spirits and lift us up. And I know I've said this before, so yeah, 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 but I'm a mom, so I get to tell people over and over again that when you sing positive things, all the centers of your brain light up. So that's even better than the affirmations. And that's why those joy songs are so relevant, so important, and so effective. So we're going to sing some more joy songs today. But let me welcome you all first and say it's a little bit nippy here in Sacramento. The frost is truly on the pumpkins. Sure, it's cold up there in Reno as well. Phil was telling me that they had snow recently. It only lasted 24 hours, but snow is snow. So, welcome everyone. It's great to see everyone. Um, when we started Capital City Unity and back in 2015, we focused on music, message, and meditation. And so today, because joy songs are so relevant and so important, we're going to have a couple of songs today. So I invite you to turn to 221. It's a special day in your songbook, and we will power up some more joy. So 221, it's a special day. And thank you so much for these beautiful pictures that we get to watch, like eye candy, as we sing our songs. So here we go, 221. Isn't that great? I mean, there's nothing like a good joy song to lift your spirits. And it is a special day. And it's a day like every day that this song reminds us of our relationship with spirit and that we are co-creators of our day. And all it takes is a few songs maybe to lift us up to that point and remember. Isn't that a good word? Remember. Remember. So, in that, we're remembering our relationship to God and each other and the Christ within us by Jesus' words, which were, whenever two or more are gathered in my name, I am there. And here we are. Here we are. I am there together, worshiping, singing, learning, listening, remembering. Remembering who we are, claiming our divinity. And so, in that claiming of our divinity, I go to the daily word. Today's daily word is a good one. It's a prosperity. Prosperity is an interesting consciousness. It's not about the money in your bank account or your portfolio. It's about consciousness. I release worry and know prosperity. Perhaps the greatest gift of a prosperity consciousness is freedom from worry. It is knowing that as a divine being, I can draw from an infinite storehouse of divine ideas and prosper myself in infinite ways. This awareness helps me keep the things of the world in proper perspective. Like anyone, I will know times of plenty and times of lack. Understanding my prosperity as a spiritual amount of money that I have in the bank gives me agency, gives me agency to direct my life. I am prosperous. I invite you to say that. I am prosperous. I am prosperous. As I affirm this divine truth again and again, I grow richer in divine ideas, the building blocks of everything on earth. And from Matthew 6, verse 25, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, or about your body, or what you will wear. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothing? I am prosperous. I don't want to rush that because it is an important, important reminder to remember I am prosperous because God is my source. The divine is my source, and there is no limit to that. So now at the affirmations that we know at the core of our being, I invite you to really dwell on these words. Take them into your heart. There is only one presence, one power, one love active in my life. God the good, omnipotent. Together, there is only one presence, one power, one love active in my life. God the good, omnipotent. Feel that stirring within you. Feel that energy moving through you. And now for those that we love, for those that we care for our friends and our family, for those that are our acquaintances, we can affirm there is only one presence, one power, one love, omnipotent. Together, there is only one presence, one power, one love active in your life. God the good, omnipotent. This is so very, very important to affirm this for others. It may be the greatest gift that we can give, greater than money, greater than gold. The kindness of thought for their well-being. So I invite you to whisper the names of those people who you wish the very, very best for, who have given you great love. And of course, we know they don't have to be on this physical plane. They can be those people who gave you love as you were growing up as a child, who are no longer with us, but they are with us in our heart. And now we say these words for our world. There is only one presence, one power, one love, active in the world today. God the good, omnipotent. Together, there is only one presence, one power, one love, active in the world today. God the good, omnipotent. And as Jesus said, and the words are true, judge not by appearances, but judge by righteous judgment. Know that God is everywhere. Love is everywhere. And love always prevails. And now, my friends, I invite you to turn to our meditation hymn, which is 145, hymn 145, Sweep Over My Soul. And now, my friends, as we move into meditation, I invite you to reflect on the words that we just sang. Come, come, gracious Spirit, sweep over my soul. Sweep out hate and fear. Sweep in love and peace. Sweep in grace and joy. Fill me now with the love and peace of the divine. Let me rest right now, just in this one moment, in grace and in love and in joy. You know, when we meditate, some say it's good to close your eyes. And others say, no, just cast them down. Just shut out any visual distractions and bring your awareness inward. Do whatever is comfortable for you. Lying, sitting, sleeping. The most important thing is to just focus on your breath. Taking a deep breath in, holding it, and then releasing it. The exhale breath being longer than the inhale. And if you find your mind wandering during this meditation, that's okay. Just bring yourself back to your breath. Today's meditation focuses on hope and faith. I wonder what it is that you hope for. Hope is the first glimmer of something that you want more of in your life. Hope is an insight into your heart's desire. And as Emily Cady would say, your heart's desire is God whispering to you. You know, it's important that we not let hope be framed in the cloak of worry. Worry's sneaky. It can sneak in, and before you know it, it's taken your mind and you're ruminating. Worry can deploy our faith faculty, but not in a good way. So we move to hope and then to faith. We frame our desires, our hopes, in an affirmative way. I invite you to take a moment to think of what hopes rise up in your mind. What is your heart's desire? And now I invite you to move your hopes to faith as you apply belief. Know that your hope is moving towards manifestation as you apply your faith faculty. See your hope moving along the continuum, giving you a higher perspective, a perspective that can be held by your higher self, your Christ self. And we can state our desires with the I am and ignite it with feeling. So if your hope or your desire is more health, let us affirm, I am healthy. I am healthy. Now feel that energy flowing through your body, feeling the vibrancy of health. I am health. Stirring it up. And from today's daily word, I am prosperous. I am prosperous. Feel that calmness of knowing that all is well, that every need is taken care of. Your cup runneth over. I am prosperous. And in life, with those those technical difficulties. And now we're going to sing, I think I said
151.
151, Showers of Blessings. So 151, Showers of Blessings, and I'm going to turn myself off. I love that song, at least the part that says showers of blessings around us. Isn't that so true? So we're going to get rain this week, 3 days. So when that happens, remember those showers of blessings that are falling on you from above. And now it's my joy to introduce a man who needs no introduction, because it's Phil. And we love that we are able to be here with Phil. It's been since 2015 when his arm was twisted into opening up a new ministry. At the time, he said, I don't know, I'm kind of old to open a ministry. He didn't say that. He doesn't think of himself as old, but he said, I'm not sure. But he did, and we were so blessed to have him. So Phil, I'm going to go ahead and let you unmute your mic, because we are going to listen to your pearls of wisdom. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Claudia? Okay. And I'm on the screen now, am I? Okay, I don't see myself.
Yes, you are on the screen. You're looking handsome. You look very handsome.
Oh, thank you, Claudia, dear. You've always been a very wise woman. Anyway, thank you for your introduction to our program today and all your good leadership. I am grateful for it. You've always been a giver to this ministry. Now, it's interesting that this day I thought, I wonder if I could possibly get everything in, but we're starting a little late today, so I'm going to sort of shove it all together if I can. I wanted to remind you that last week I talked with you about the challenges that we have in life. That they're like traps. I compared them to an animal trap, and I said these traps are familiar to many of us because there's the trap of illness, the trap of lack, the trap of loneliness. And these are things that people feel that when they happen in their lives, they feel trapped by it. And unfortunately, the average person doesn't really know what do they do other than the obvious things. Like if they have the trap of sickness, they go to the doctor. If they have the trap of loneliness, that's not an easy one to work with. But in general, as I told us last week, what people seek to do is to have the best way they know to get out of those traps, and that is to have all the money you need to be able to get the right doctors, the right advisor, to win friends. And so the world in general works to get out of these traps by having money. It isn't just by chance that money seems to be the great driving force of the world. Is that when you have more money, you seem to be freer from the traps of life. You can buy your way out of it. But you and I know it doesn't work that way. It may help in many situations, but the only way out of the trap is the way of spiritual enlightenment. Well, we covered that last week, and I want to review it. I want to add this week that even though we have insights how to escape these traps, there's one big negative that seems to loom over people's lives, and that is this thing called death. And a little evidence of how big that is, that whenever something negative is reported in the world where there's been a disaster or something, they always make sure they give you the number of people that died, because that's the worst thing that could happen, obviously, is that people die. Today, I want to remind us that we are so fortunate as true students to know the truth that death is not a great negative. Indeed, death is a natural part of the life process. And it is not to be avoided. Indeed, it is recognized as an important part of a life process, and to give thanks for the order of it in our lives. As I thought about wanting to remind us that death is a natural part of life, I found myself thinking that you can only understand that as you can only understand how imminent, how always present is God in your life. And that you have a childlike relationship to God that is unfailing. And we've had many lessons on how when you talk to God, you can know you're making contact when you do it sincerely. You're making contact with a presence that oversees your life like the greatest of parents possibly could. And therefore, in this same truth, you and I can know that death is not something to be avoided, but death is really a very natural part of our life process. And we realize that it is there for us, just as we have affirmed that the God presence is there for us. That God presence is overseeing this part of our life process, that which is called dying. As I thought about wanting to reaffirm and strengthen this for all of us, and knowing this, I found myself thinking of the normal educational process. At least it was when I went to school, and that was a ways back. But I don't think it's changed. I think that when you go to school, you are put in a homeroom. That is, this is your homeroom, and you have a leader of that homeroom, a teacher, who oversees you when you're in the homeroom. And then you have your classes and you go outside, but you come back to your homeroom. But after you've been in a certain homeroom for a period of time, it's a natural part of the learning process for you, as you are growing older, to be in a new homeroom. And at least I don't know what the system's like now, but I can remember how leaving the old home and going to your new homeroom was a whole part of the growing up and learning process. And you were always interested, who's your homeroom teacher? You know, it was an exciting part of the education program, one that young people look like. All young people like change, and they're always hopeful, I'm going to get a new homeroom teacher. This is going to be great. Well, I remind you of that if you can relate to that, if it's been a part of your educational process in the school system, to know that it is so because it is uh, patterned after the greatest reality of your life. And when you understand this, you realize that every life experience is like having a homeroom. And you are in that homeroom and you have a certain homeroom teacher element that is present in it for you. But you know from the beginning that this is temporary because you're going to grow up and go to another homeroom. And it's sort of exciting because you was it who's going to be the teacher that I'm going to get in the next homeroom? Well, today I want to talk with you as seriously as I can because this is one of the great elements of life to understand and to be free from the negativity around it. Because, as I think I said in the beginning, when you look at world news and all, the greatest negative they throw at you is when they give you the number of people killed, because that's the worst thing that can happen to anybody is to be killed. And today I'm just reminding you and affirming you as it's for you again as a true student. That is not true. Death is a natural part of the process, just like going from one homeroom to a next homeroom as you go up the learning cycle. That's what our lives are about. We have life individual situations where we meet and experience those that are important as our homeroom teachers and guides for our soul's growth. You can only fully understand that if you realize that as far as God is concerned, we are God's children. And it should be our concern to realize we are the children of God. And God is always seeking to move our lives through a learning process of growing up. Growing up to what? Growing up to the fulfillment of God's greatest gift that was given to us when He gave us the life of Jesus Christ. The things that I have done, you may do also, and greater things than these. Were not idle words of Jesus, because Jesus understood that all the souls that He was talking to are on this path of growing and unfolding, which includes the necessary element of dying to enter into a new home process, a new experiencing of life that's all geared to help you and I grow up to the fulfillment of being that is like, not the same as, but like that of Jesus Christ. A realization, an absolute realization of our oneness with God, so deeply experienced that we are able to speak with the calm and beautiful strength that Jesus spoke when He spoke of the Father, our Father. We are all one, and we are an expression of God. And through God, I can do all things to bring the Spirit of God on earth, the Spirit of absolute love, the absolute sense of oneness, that presence and spirit that could transform this earth that we live on and its people. So today, I am encouraging you to join me in deepening your conviction that you are an expression of the God idea. And no matter who you are, as I look, I see Lily and Catherine, Anna Marie, and anybody, Claudia on my screen here, and anybody else that's viewing. We're all on the same pathway. We are created to take on the spirit of the Christ, to live and express as a channel for God, to bring forth only good. But to let that happen, it's a growing, learning experience. And death is the primary factor that allows that growth process to go on and continue. So I'm sure that's not a new thought to any of you, but I would strengthen it today for all of us, because the world constantly affirms to us in many different ways the worst thing that can happen to you, friends, is die. Not the worst thing at all. It is a necessary part of the process and a very positive part of the process. Now, how we die, that is another thing, and that's sort of up to us. The closer we are to our God spirit, the more we stay with it, the easiest the process takes place. I suddenly get all these pictures, it's like going from your old homeroom to your new homeroom. Well, some kids go crying and hollering because I don't want to leave that. I like my teacher in that old homeroom. And another one says, goody, goody, I can hardly wait. I'm looking forward to the next one. So there are those degrees of difference for us. But today, I, with all my heart, wish I could give each of us an unshakable conviction that life is eternal and that death is not something to be avoided, but is to be put in a natural part of our lives through our thought. It isn't in any way, what I'm saying isn't in any way meant to be taken as, hey, death's a great part, so go out and let it happen. No, of course not. I want to hold the concept of death in the dimension that God is in charge of my life. When it is right for me to move into my next homeroom, God will bring that to pass in a way, or support me as I myself make it happen, which many people do, of course, through illness, accident, or whatever. But however death comes to us, we need to know that death is not a great negative to be feared. It is a step forward to a learning growth process. I find myself thinking, I guess I can't pursue that. I don't think I have time to pursue that a great deal longer, except to.
Bill, please go ahead. We had technical difficulties. Speak. We don't have that much time left with you in this planet, so please speak.
So I can't quite hear you.
Claudia, go ahead. We value our time with you, so finish up. Take the time you need.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you as well as I should. I'll just keep talking until I think we're out of time, okay? But where was I? Take over, Claudia. Where was I?
You were telling us about those homerooms.
Oh, I know.
And you're going to extend beyond that because we're here to listen.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I know where we were. You I think perhaps I've shared with you before that uh, a book that impressed me deeply was a book written by a doctor who was a doctor of some fame. He was a doctor to the participant in the White House, a president of the United States, and of many of the most wealthy people of the New York society. And he wrote a book for us called The Will to Live. And his theory was that as he observed the life of his many patients, he felt quite surely that they really decided when it was they wanted to make the transition. They didn't always do it thoughtfully and easily, but they decided by the way in which they lived their life, etc., to bring it to an end, that there's a power that would take over and make that transition, or there would be a series of events actually implemented by them that brought them to the point of making this transition. I just add that to the picture of wanting you to feel and to know for yourself that dying is as natural a part as being born. Dying is a natural part of life as being born. So, as I um, begin to wind this up with you today of affirming it, I think it begins with just saying death is not something to be avoided nor to be feared. That's basic. It is a natural part of life. And so when we think of our dying, I think we want to think about divine order. At the right time, in the right way, I will make my transition. And I affirm for myself that it will be done in as easy a way as saying, you're going to move to a new classroom now. So you get your life in order and make that gentle walk to your new classroom. I realize that perhaps a very childish view of something that people consider so incredibly serious, that is dying. But in today's lesson, as I say, I want it to be taken in a whole new light. I know I've told you this before, but I am so privileged to have been married to Dorothy Pearson, who proved to me once and for all it doesn't have to be difficult to make that process happen. I've told you the day that Dorothy passed, neither one of us had the slightest idea she was going to pass on that day. She woke up, she was singing, "Happy am I, I'm rich, I'm happy." That was her song. And she was telling me how thrilled she was with her home and the view of the home. And of course, she threw me in the lot and said, "My husband and my house." She was just filled with that spirit. And then through that day, gradually, her dear heart just stopped beating until finally it just stopped. She never knew pain or anything. She just passed. And that's a consciousness, I think, that embraces everything, including death, as all good. So I am going to wind this up now and say that the essence of I want you to feel from today's sharing, which perhaps is far too brief to deal with such a question as this, but it is to check yourself out. What do you think about when you think about dying? If you think of it, you've got a very negative experience ahead of you, say to yourself, wait a minute, I'm going to work on that because that's not true. It's all good. And it can be as much a positive experience in my life and can happen in a positive way as anything else if I hold it in consciousness as being that way. We control the way it's going to happen, not something outside of us. We do by holding a certain thought in our mind about the transition process. Today we call it all good. And I can't think of a greater lesson or gift I could give you today than say, wow, somehow we've touched buttons and we're going to say, we're not shaken when they say, how many people died? This is awful. There's so and so, or you hear some unfortunate death that somebody has, that you inside yourself affirm, death only opens doors to new horizons. And it's essential and a part of the growing healing process of the human race. Well, I hate to let you go because I just want to say, yay, team. We are a fearless group of people. Death cannot in any way inhibit us from the joy of life and the expectation of good that lies ahead of us. God bless you today. I give thanks that we have spent this time together, that Claudia has reminded us in a number of ways through our prayer work and all the rest of our spirituality, our oneness with God. And then I have just brought us to a very important reminder. Death is a natural part of life, not to be feared, but to treat it lovingly and in the expectancy of a greater good. God bless you today, dear ones.
Thank you, Phil. What a
Goodbye.
wonderful, wonderful lesson. That analogy is
Oh, thank you.
fabulous because I think we've all been in homerooms where we loved the teacher and our classmates and didn't want to advance. But we can't stay in third grade forever, you know, have to keep going. So
Gee,
it's such a gift, Phil, for you to give us that we have to think on when our thoughts go in another direction. So thank you so much, Phil. Well, friends, we've come to that time in our service where we get to share our love, our joy, and our appreciation for being here today and for the board that has provided the platform, literally, for us to do that. So as you take your love offering into consciousness, I invite you to remember today's daily word. I am prosperous. Flow out from you and is shared. Your cup runneth over. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your time with our community so we can all meet here on Zoom together. So thank you, my friends. Let's affirm, I am prosperous, I am prosperous, I am prosperous, my cup runneth over. Together, I am prosperous, I am prosperous,
I am prosperous.
my
My cup runneth over.
Thank you. Thank you, my friends. All right. Well, we're going to sing Let There Be Peace on Earth. And then will invite you to open up your mics and we will say the prayer of protection together. So make sure you're off for the Let There Be Peace on Earth and then come back on. now, my friends, I invite you to unmute yourself, and we will have that cacophony of love and joy as we say the prayer of protection together.
The
light
light
of
of God
God
surrounds
surrounds
us.
The
The
love
love
of
of
God
God
enfolds
enfolds
us.
The
the
power
power of God
protects
Protects
us.
us.
The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Thank
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Homeroom
Thank
class.
you.
Phil, great talk. Oh, he popped off, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was done.
Bye now.
Time was up.
Bye.
All right, friends, good to see you. We'll see you next week, next Sunday, Sunday before Thanksgiving. Take care.